So today we're going to be talking about The Amazing Spider-Man number 11. So this is subtitled The Return of the Hobgoblin, but which one? From my understanding, the Hobgoblin has been a complete freaking mess since like the start. Apparently his identity was going to be like Roderick Kinsley. It's just some dude named Roderick Kinsley. Inevitably, the writer ended up leaving and a new writer took place, which he didn't like. The fact that the Hobgoblin was going to be Roderick Kingsley. So he ended up changing him to actually being Ned Leeds. So from my understanding from reading the original comics, it could either just be Ned Leeds, who's the Hobgoblin in this particular story, or it could just be Roderick Kingsley. So the story starts off with Betty Brant talking on the phone with Peter Parker. And she's talking to him about this new baby that she just had with Ned Leeds. And he's trying to find out whether they received his particular present to them, which was just a kid's chemistry set. She tells him that Ned is now chasing another big story. And afterwards they hang up on each other, and Betty's wondering where Ned is. She's just staring at the window. She turns over to the room because she hears a noise, and she yells at Winston, which is her baby that she had with Ned. She runs into the room to see that the Hobgoblin himself is holding the baby, and he's saying, "I won't let them hurt him." Which, to me, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know what the hell he means by this. It's very, mysterious. I'm assuming he's paranoid that someone's coming after his family, but that's the only thing I can insinuate with this. So, instantly, I already assume this is probably Ned Leeds, right? And then we cut to Oscorp, I'm assuming the very next day. Both Peter and Kamala Khan are, like, testing out this jet for Osborn, but they're both trying to, procrastinate actually doing anything because they know that it's not ready to actually test. So they're trying to figure out how they're trying to bring it up to Osborn without him getting mad. At this point, someone that looks like Heisenberg walks into the room to disturb Osborn and starts talking about something different that we don't know yet. This is basically a mystery plot that just gets brought up, and I'm assuming it's probably gonna get resolved at some point in the future, probably, hopefully. And they see that he's distracted, with this conversation, so Peter just decides to clock out super early and walks out, stating to Kamala that he's just gonna go moonlighting, which I don't know what that term means. I didn't even bother to check whether that was a specific word for something or just lingo, but you can kind of assume what it means with what comes next. He's just hanging out with Felicia. They're just talking it out as they're jumping building to building, with the final results of just Peter asking Felicia if they can go to dinner together. She appreciates that he shows initiative to ask her out and has the confidence to do it. And then when she leaves, Spider-Man's left there like shaking and just, I don't know, it looks like it took a lot of effort out of him to ask her out. Which is weird, because Peter has, a lot of confidence. So this specific version, I don't know what's happened to him. It's probably going to get answered in the future. But I don't know, he's just incredibly socially awkward. Maybe something's happened to him as to why he's acting like this, but I don't know, he just seems a little too awkward. And he's not really like that. Afterwards, Peter Parker heads home, and he's in front of his building, and he's just wondering what happened to the collections agent that was hanging out right outside of his building. As he notices that he's just finally gone. He's not bothering him anymore. And this is where it gets stated by, I don't know, the editor, probably, that we're gonna find out all about him and what happened to him in Amazing Spider-Man number 14. So that's in about 3 more issues where that gets answered. What would lead me to believe that this guy's finally gone is the fact that Peter finally has a job where he's getting paid. Yeah, he's paying off the rent, and he is paying off this debt collector that keeps hanging out in front of his house. But apparently he's not paying him off, so why is he gone? Hopefully that does get answered very well in that issue. I'm gonna be looking forward to it. What happened to that debt collector? Peter Parker walks into his building, and it's very dark and shadowy. He turns over because he hears his name in the shadows, only to see a figure in the darkness. He thinks to himself that his spider senses aren't going off, so there isn't any problem. And then the mysterious figure walks into the frame, only to reveal that it's Ned Leeds. He's been waiting there for Peter Parker to walk in to tell him about the the story that he's been chasing, and it involves Norman Osborn. Ned Leeds starts asking Peter if he can help him with getting access to Norman Osborn's servers and information, because he just revealed to Peter that he has some connection with Roderick Kingsley, which, as we know, was the previous Hobgoblin before they changed him to being Ned Leeds. But I did Google it, and apparently that story ended up getting retconned. I haven't read it yet, but apparently, yeah, it ended up getting retconned. And supposedly Roderick Kingsley was in fact the real Hobgoblin, but he ended up brainwashing Ned Leeds into something. I don't know, I didn't read it. Like I said, I just Googled it. Which, in this story, it seems like that's what they're working with, the brainwashing story. And they're not going with the original, where Ned Leeds was in fact, the legit Hobgoblin. But anyways, yeah, he's trying to get Peter Parker's help because, of course, he works for Norman Osborn. And Norman Osborn is in cahoots in some way with Roderick Kingsley. So Ned is just trying to get Peter to help him into getting into Norman Osborn's servers to see what the heck's going on. But Peter declines because, of course, that's his boss. He doesn't want to ruin this perfect opportunity where he's getting paid and his boss isn't the Green Goblin, And he's also, getting additional pay just to make sure that he doesn't flip switch and turn into the Green Goblin at some point. So Peter's got it good at that point. So why would he want to turn on his boss, just to help out Ned Leeds? And this is another point that leads me to believe that Ned is probably just trying to use Peter just to get more information on Harry Osborn for whatever reason, and he's not actually doing it for the greater good or to oust Norman Osborn for whatever reason. He's probably just trying to use Peter. And what I assume to be the very next day, we cut over to Norman Osborn. And this is the very first, I'm just going to call it a cameo appearance of the Golden Goblin suit that they're planning on introducing in the future, where supposedly my guess is Norman Osborn is going to be using this suit to possibly help out in the dark web event that's happening. Which, don't ask what it's about, because I don't know really, besides the fact that it involves multiple spider-themed characters like Venom and Carnage, which I am following, but mainly I'm just making videos of the Spider-Man title because it's a lot easier to cover one. But anyways, yeah, this is the moment where Peter Parker confronts Norman Osborn about what sort of relationship he has with Roderick Kingsley. And Norman tells him that back in his wild days, when Roderick Kingsley got ousted as the Hobgoblin and was going to go to prison because of it, he offered Norman Osborn a chance at his entire empire as long as he managed to free him out of his prison term. But Norman Osborn declined, and inevitably, because of his wild ways, he ended up legally still, in a way, stealing his entire business empire from Roderick Kingsley. And now Norman Osborn is saying that Roderick Kingsley is back, seeking violence and revenge for basically stealing his empire without even giving him any assistance. But Peter assumes that Norman is instantly gonna try to retaliate with violence as well. Norman assures him that that's not his ways anymore. He had his lawyers create a contract where they give back Roderick Kingsley's holdings because he's basically trying to put his past behind him, and he's legitimately trying to change. So Peter starts telling him like, hey, let me come with you to this deal that you're gonna have with him. And Norman tells him like, okay, yeah, you can come along. It's gonna be Thursday night at one of my warehouses. And Peter walks out of the room being like, yeah, dude, you don't have to handle this kind of crap alone. And that's why he's there. And then Norman has a panel where he's looking kind of sinister-ish, just by the way that the art is portrayed. It's really up to interpretation, but this is also one of those panels that leads me to believe that he's basically managed to figure out a way to have Spider-Man for hire. He has this sinister face where he's looking at Peter walk out of the room after the remark about him being like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna help you out, And he's saying, of course, Peter, see you Thursday night. So at this point, of course, he's helping out Peter with his businesses, he's paying him to be around, and naturally, because Peter just wants to help, he's offering his services to Norman Osborn, and Norman just probably sees it as him, paying Spider-Man as his personal bodyguard. So I feel like Peter Parker's just getting fucking used, probably. Norman does seem legit, so you still can't tell. And then we cut to the next page, and on the top left corner of the page, it's establishing that it's Wednesday night, even though he established with Peter Parker that it was going to be Thursday night. So what's the deal here? And of course, the events right now are taking place at the same warehouse that was established with Peter Parker. But like I said, it's Wednesday night, not Thursday, so what the hell is happening here? So Norman arrives to the warehouse, where Roderick Kingsley's waiting there already with his bodyguards. And he notices that Norman showed up alone. And this is a way to show him that he's, in good faith, of course. Norman pulls out the contract showing Roderick Kingsley that he's giving all of his empire back to him. Because, of course, he's doing everything because he's a changed man. And he just wants to put that stuff behind him. Roderick Kingsley starts telling him, he's basically the dog that caught the car. He doesn't know what to do with it. Didn't expect Norman Osborn to fold so easily. And he's questioning whether he should just walk away with what he has right now, or to see Norman eat shit. When all of a sudden a loud noise is going on, and they're both questioning each other's good amnesty at the moment by wondering whether one of them brought a big superpowered gun, right? And then Roderick Kingsley's car explodes, and one of the bodyguards notices that whatever's making that noise is flying right above him. And on the next frame, it just cuts to him getting his limbs cut off, and I'm like, whoa, yo, this is a Spider-Man comic, what the heck? But and then another one, two guys just fly off due to an explosion. And then when the goons get taken care of, we get revealed that the Hobgoblin is there, threatening both of them. And last page, we cut over to Yorktown, where it cuts to the inside of Betty Brant's apartment, where it's showing that Betty's asleep on a chair next to the baby that's also asleep. And there's a voice in the background saying, "Don't worry, little Winston. I just gave Mommy a little something to help her rest. She was tired. We did a lot of good work here this evening." And then it just cuts to be continued. So yeah, that's basically the Amazing Spider-Man number 11. That's how the story ends. This is a very clear setup, because this Hobgoblin story is going to be, what I'm assuming, going to span 3 issues, including this one, being the first one, of course. It did bring up a lot of questions and more setup for the Dark Web event. We also get a little bit more of Kamala Khan, which, again, just seems like a regular character. But she's pretty cool. There hasn't been a negative with her. She's basically just Peter Parker's lab assistant when it comes to his job at Oscorp. But yeah, that's basically just this issue. It's just a setup for what's coming next with the next 2 issues. Definitely brings up a lot of questions, so we'll see how those get answered. But anyways, yeah, that's me talking about the Amazing Spider-Man number 11 of this week. If you enjoyed me talking about it, and if you want to know what happens next with the Spider-Man story, just make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.